Hello everyone, welcome back to GeoGuessr Explained, and welcome back to the play along. I'm going to be taking you guys through some seeds and explaining my thought process as a pro player, so I hope you all enjoy that. One no moving, one NMPZ. People requested that we do two no moving seeds, but the problem is that no moving is kind of boring, in my opinion. So no moving, you definitely learn more, but NMPZ, that's where you want to end up playing. Trust me, it's much more rewarding. So anyway, that out of the way, let's get into this one. We have a interesting round here. Let's go. Okay, so we're on a dirt road here. We've got these metal mesh poles that kind of form a ladder that gets wider towards the bottom. I would only associate these with two countries, really, so they're very useful ones. Little yellow warning sign, also pretty common in this country. Low bushes, a few proper trees here, but mostly kind of low bush landscape. Does remind you a bit of a warmer climate for that reason, I would say. And yeah, that's kind of all we have. No antenna present at all on the car. So this kind of pole here is found in Turkey and Serbia, and maybe Middle East sometimes as well, to be honest. But specifically this pole top with the two long supports and the three insulators, that looks very Turkish to me. Maybe you can see similar in Serbia, but yeah. And another thing for Turkey and Serbia, in Generation 3, so this generation here with the less vibrant colors, neither one ever has antenna. I lie. On the main highway and in main cities in Serbia, you can get the antenna. In Turkey, it's completely impossible. So definitely a great one to keep in mind for Generation 3 Turkey. If you see an antenna, discount it. And if you don't see an antenna, start to think of it. Although Gen 3 Turkey is pretty rare these days. Whereas Serbia is completely Gen 3 still. Anything else to say here? The red soil is definitely interesting. I'm not sure where this is. It feels more western to me, but that's just a vibe thing. It feels like Mediterranean Sea somewhere, you know, so a bit more west. I don't know where this is actually. I think just clicking here is probably good enough, but it's quite a rolling landscape, which is a bit concerning to me, because I'm not really sure where to place it, but okay, it is towards Istanbul. I was thinking of European Turkey, but it was a bit too hilly for there. That makes sense in the end, I would say. Next one here, pretty easy round, so I'll go quickly. White painted guardrail is very big here, and this kind of pattern on the rock wall. So as I said, these rock walls with the drains in them, very common in East Asia, and then with the white painted guardrail, we will be in Japan. Sometimes they do this one in Philippines as well, but we've got the extremely wide blur low cam here, and obviously it's like covered in bamboo, which is something you see a lot. The cherry blossom as well, very Japanese here. So bamboo tends to lean you more towards the south, I would say, below the Japan label. Normally in Japan, you get spammed bamboo like this. The guardrail is completely normal. There's no meta on there, I would say. And yeah, it's pretty hilly as you would expect every time in Japan. Okay, so pretty much nothing to say here, I would say. Like Nara, maybe. That should be good enough, I reckon. And it was just Shikoku. Now, I was going to say Shikoku, but we did not have any yellow stripes on the guardrail, which you would normally get on the stands on the guardrail in Shikoku, but it's not all the time, so makes sense. Next one here, this is a very recognizable road. One of the first roads you learn as a GeoGuessr player, I would say, just because it comes up so often. We got the black Google car here. We've got yellow outer line. Inner line is not really visible because the road's been repaved. There's a divided highway here, crucially. That's going to be very useful. We got a guardrail here. Not much to say about that, to be honest. Okay, so it's hilly, but not mountainous. We've got long license plates here, for the most part. Yeah, long white license plates. And let's get into where this is. So this is the number 13? Wait, what actually is it? The 15 in Jordan. I still don't know the name of it, despite having gotten it right maybe 1,000 times plus. But yeah, this is the number 15 in Jordan. It is a divided highway that runs between Amman and the southern city of Aqaba. I guess it turns into the 47. Yeah. And yeah, this is a very distinctive road. It is the main divided road in Jordan. The other one is like the one that goes to Jerash north, but it's a lot shorter, as you can see. It's going to be like fairly flat like this, and you can just get the compass to line it up. Something like this, I guess, or it's even more... What is this angle? Maybe like here, then. Not seeing the angle, actually. Maybe like... Well, no, it's slighter than that, but it's heavier than that. Probably here, then. I guess. Also doesn't feel perfectly right, does it? I don't know. Well, regardless, it is on this road. I can tell you that for certain. The 35 and the 65 have coverage, but they're not divided. So, yeah. Well, it was just there. Okay, never mind. Next one here. Okay, I think I can immediately tell the city here. But first, let's talk about the country. So we've got these like low bungalow trees, these low bungalow houses, like single-story houses made of bricks. And then we also have a lot of eucalyptus trees here. Obviously, that's going to tell us we're in Australia. This is also a Holden with the lion on it. That's only found in Australia and New Zealand. So kind of a nice one. Yeah, so that is going to give away the country, basically, those three things. Then we've got blue number plates, so you wouldn't see those in New Zealand. Blue number plates is in some states in Australia. So Western Australia, Victoria, Australian Capital Territory, Tasmania, they all have some kind of blue plate. We've got sloped curbs here. So not... In Perth, you get very shallow curbs. You get these sloped curbs in places with a lot of rainfall a lot of the time. Commonly Queensland, I would say. Sometimes South Australia. ACT has them a lot. But yeah, probably Queensland is the most common to see these like very sloped curbs, I would say. And then we have probably the best meta here is the Trident Pole Top, which you can't really see here. I would say that's like Canberra and surrounding New South Wales. You see that a lot. But with short insulators. With long insulators, then you'd be thinking of Victoria and Western Australia. Insulators are these things here. Yeah, it's hilly. And the dirt's quite brown, and the sloped curbs, that is going to be Canberra, that combination. Plus the Trident Pole Top here. So yeah, that's just going to be Canberra suburbs. Very nice. Those thick signposts we saw, actually, if you want to scroll back, they're pretty Canberra as well. Next one here. So immediately, based on the house and the road quality and the wooden poles, I would be thinking North America here. So yeah, this long insulator on the wooden pole sticking out at the top, that should be a North American thing, on a wooden pole at least. On other types of poles, maybe elsewhere. North American poles often also have like 3 levels or 2 levels of wires. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3 here. And there is a foolproof way to check if this is Canada or the US, and that is to check the front of the car. So, I mean, it's difficult on a one-way road like this to check, but the back will have 1 bump, and the front will have 2 distinct bumps in Canada. Whereas in the US, the back will have 1 bump, and the front will also have 1 bump. The other countries this occurs in are Sri Lanka and Cambodia for the single bump. So the US style is actually quite rare, whereas the Canadian style is pretty much the global style. Now, whereabouts are we? You got a bunch of oak trees. It felt kind of warm climate. Honestly, before I knew it was Canada, I was kind of thinking like Indiana, Illinois. So probably a little further eastern here, just based on the tree makeup. Like, we don't see like a bunch of like aspens and spruces and stuff that you get further north. We've even got like a willow tree here or something. So it definitely feels like it's going to be further up, and we are almost perfectly east-west here, I would say, which is pretty rare, which is very common out in the prairies, but pretty rare where I wanted to click over here. As you can see, mostly it's like on an angle. You do get a bit in Niagara Falls of north-south, and you also get a bit down here near Detroit and around Sarnia, but yeah, is it perfectly east-west? It appears like it almost is. Like, it's very close to perfectly east-west, so I guess the Niagara Falls grid is probably the best one here for that. Yeah, probably. So I think I'll go for that. Because it feels very southern for Canada. So let's see here. And yeah, it was there. Very nice. I mean, it's just a matter of using a couple of metas there. But overall, pretty good seed there. 23.4, bouncing back a little bit from yesterday. And now I would say we're doing Varied World. I did not realize I forgot to change the map, but let's switch it up for a day. We'll do Varied World. I think Arbitrary World is better for learning, but this map is pretty difficult. So if you're doing well on here, then good stuff. Okay, so NMP that's going to be a bit harder. Try and race through it here. Okay, so immediately thinking of right-hand drive here because unmarked road. No, that's not why I'm thinking that. Because we got the car here and we don't see the front of it. So we're probably going to see the back of it. That being said, if we were driving left-hand side of the road and it was Australia or something, we would see this as well. So actually kind of hard to get the driving direction from the car here. Regardless, the sun definitely seems more south. We can see this is due west, and the sun's more on the south. So, yeah, that would put us northern hemisphere in theory. Ton of eucalyptus trees here. They're very thin, and they're being grown for timber, probably. So that is immediately making me think, well, the options in the south would be like Brazil and Chile, like I said before, maybe Kenya, but if you're in Europe, which this road would definitely lean towards, the fact that it's slightly thin and no road marking, then Portugal, Spain is your bet here. And this just feels more Portuguese, I would say, but it's hard to describe why. But yeah, eucalyptus on both sides of the road. If you see eucalyptus, you can basically actually rule out France. You can rule out Italy apart from Sardinia. You can pretty much rule out Greece and Turkey. So it's a tree that really shows up in Sardinia, and then Portugal, northern Spain, and around Huelva. And that's it. So it is a very useful tree. And there we go. Well, it's just Portugal, the most common option for European eucalypts. Next one here, black guuca. All yellow road lines. All yellow road lines is something that occurs only in a few countries, to be honest. Chile is the most iconic all yellow road lines. They either do all whites or all yellows, as in triple yellow. And you'll see that mostly in national parks that they do triple yellow. Triple yellow is the same in Australia. We're an all-white country, but triple yellows do occur in the alpine regions. And yeah, this is another country, the UAE, that does triple yellows every now and again. Black guuca is also very common in UAE, especially with that 2024 copyright. And yeah, I mean, we got West Mountains here, so that's kind of interesting. Maybe like inside here where there's a bunch of mountain mixed with flat, or like maybe we're around Farija or something like that. One of those two. Yeah. But it's a very small place, and obviously there's no coverage south of Dubai, like south of this line. I mean, you can just zoom in to see the Emirate border. Actually, no, it doesn't show up on the map. But yeah, it's basically south of like the industrial city here. There's no more coverage. Okay, well, it's right on the Omani border there. It's fine. Next one here. Immediate architecture vibe here. These like square houses with these like pyramid roofs are very common in this country, or in this area at least. Yeah, mostly real tiled roofs here. There's a few fake tiles on this side of the road, but mostly real tiles. We've got round concrete poles here. Yeah, okay, so that's interesting. So this style of architecture I would call Austro-Hungarian architecture, specifically the Hungarian side of Austro-Hungary. So you'll see it a little bit in North Serbia, you'll see it in Hungary, you'll see a bit in South Slovakia, and you'll see a bit in West Romania. That's pretty much where you see this kind of square building architecture. And with a round concrete pole, well, Hungary basically just does wooden poles or holy poles. So round concrete pole is basically impossible in Hungary, I would say. And there you can see that typical Hungary and Slovakia both use this wooden pole with the concrete block at the bottom. They're the two countries in Europe that like that the most. So I'm gonna say we're in Slovakia. Also, fake tiles, like these plastic tiles, would be pretty weird for Hungary. They normally just stick with real tiles in Hungary, I would say. So yeah, this should, in theory, with the round pole, be Slovakia on the Hungarian border. And it was on the Austrian border, but pretty close, all things considered, to Slovakia, and to Hungary. So that's good enough. Okay, next one here, red road, Brazilian pole. We've been over that with the sections in it. Hard to see here, but with the red soil, you can definitely intuit that. Brazil also likes to do these like ninja stars between the power lines. You see that a lot in Thailand as well. Clear satellite dish, very Portuguese, very Brazilian, rather. You also see the clear satellite dish in Indo and Malaysia. We've got like very green rolling pastures in the background. Reminds me of southern states, Sao Paulo, Paraná, something like that. Anything else to say here? Thinking Paraná at this stage. We got that Germanic style architecture, which I was talking about, with the kind of wooden section before the bricks. So that's also like, yeah, Sao Paulo, Paraná, Santa Catarina, Rio Grande do Sul. Could even be Rio Grande do Sul here, actually. I could see it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, it could actually be. We have like a few German houses here, so it could definitely be as far south as that. But I think I would just go Paraná here, and maybe a bit further west in Paraná, just because of how red the soil is. Yeah, unsure. I could definitely see it being further south, but it was Cascavel. Very nice. Good guess. Okay, and the final one here, bit more difficult immediately. We've got a lot of coconut palms. We've got a clear satellite dish, so maybe thinking with the coconut palms, more Indonesia here. We've got a fake blue tiled roof here. That's very common in Kalimantan, but can be found elsewhere in Indonesia as well. We've got people in school around here. Interesting. Yeah. Beyond that, I am definitely a bit stumped here. The Generation 3 camera is pretty uncommon on Kalimantan these days, even though that would be my first idea with the blue roof. That house seems like kind of to be on stilts. So you know what? I'm kind of leaning more Sulawesi now with the kind of stilts house here. Yeah, a lot of coconut palms also make sense for Sulawesi. Probably the island that has the most coconut palms. These tall, thin trunked palms. And we actually do have like some kind of a neat fence in the background, neat wooden fence, which is very common on Sulawesi as well. So I think I would go for that here. Let's go Polowali here. And it was Sulawesi area, so not too bad there. 23,000 points on Varied World. We'll definitely take that. Of course, Varied World is kind of made to be difficult, so maybe not the greatest one for learning. But regardless, hope you all enjoyed this explanation. Definitely felt like I was playing a bit better today than last time. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.